UVA takes on Florida State in the ACC semifinal. If you watched yesterday, Florida State used a clutch last-second jump shot that stuck on the rim. It ends up falling, so they can move on and take on UVA. UVA, a little bit of struggles in the tournament, but they are going to clamp down with that pack line defense. -9, they open up, Teddy. Over-under, very low, 124.5 money line split, plus 350, minus 450. When we take a look at these two teams, Florida State, very talented, but only 15-17 against the spread on the season. UVA, backing them all year long, has paid dividends, 23-8 against the spread. They get it going tonight in Charlotte, Teddy.
Not just this year, last year, the year before, this has been an extended point spread run of success for Tony Bennett and the Cavaliers, and it hasn't changed. It's even gotten better in 2019, despite all the success they've had in years past. And some of that has to do with the fact that Duke and North Carolina suck a lot of the oxygen out of the room in the ACC. Some of it has to do with the fact that Virginia became the first number 1 seed to ever lose to a 16 seed last March. And they haven't been on an extended NCAA tournament run to get the hype that this program probably deserves. But make no mistake about it, when Kyle Guy's hitting, Virginia's as good as it gets in the country. And now, Florida State's had all kinds of problems matching up against the Cavaliers. The last 3 years, they haven't scored more than 60 in any game against Virginia. They shot 15 of 44 in the first meeting, lost by 13 in that game. And, of course, Florida State played in overtime yesterday, 3 players with 35-plus minutes in that ballgame. Although, one thing I do like in conference tournament season, let me make this very clear, I like a team that survived in advance without playing their best game. Florida State did that yesterday, but all that being said, Virginia is not a team I have any interest in stepping in front of, even in this somewhat inflated point spread range.
How about the secondary back-to-back here on ESPN tonight, going right back down to Charlotte. Round 3, ding, ding, ding. Duke versus USC. Maybe we'll get more than 30 seconds between the first 2 games of Zion Williamson. Should be a fun one to watch. Total, as you see, 164, just pretty high for a college basketball game. UNC the favorite at -3. UNC is getting 3 points in this game. Moneyline split, -150, plus 130. This one should be good. Duke 17-15 in all line games against the spread this year. UNC 19-10 against the spread in all line games, and 13-6 against the spread versus ACC competition. Questions, Avant? Look, UNC looked good yesterday, beating Louisville. Duke looked good, beating Syracuse yesterday. How's Zion going to react to the knee? A lot to go over in this game, but all eyes will be on the ACC tonight. Should be a good one Friday night, Teddy.
Yes, and I'll talk about this game in 1 second. Something just popped up on the ticker right here. LeBron, who you referred to just a moment ago, as someone who might sit the second of back-to-backs, he is now officially listed as questionable for tonight.
Ooh.
I expect the markets to move accordingly. When it comes to Duke and North Carolina, obviously we saw what happened in the first meeting. Zion blows his shoe out and North Carolina rolls. And then we saw what happened in the second meeting. Zion couldn't play and North Carolina rolls. Now it's the third meeting. Zion's back. And boy, if you watched Duke last night, look at the RJ Barrett. We have Zion back, so it was just a lot of fun. And it looked like Duke had a lot of fun out there last night. Williamson himself. I know I was ready to come back a few days ago. I got some reps in with the team. But I would like to say this. There was never any pressure for me to rush back when I wasn't ready. He's trying to keep from throwing Coach K under the bus. Look, Tar Heels have been great. They won 8 in a row. They played brilliantly last night. A really good first half against Louisville, and were able to maintain and even extend over the second half of that contest. Can they match that again tonight? We talk about teams that didn't play their best game and survived in advance. Those tend to be teams I like to back. I thought the Tar Heels played great last night. I thought the Blue Devils played great last night. Worth noting, Duke will be without Marcus Bolden tonight. Sprained his left knee last Saturday. And he's someone who could have an impact in this ballgame against Luke May and the big Tar Heels front court.
Yeah, Tar Heels look great in those first 2 Duke games. We'll see if they can rebound and make it a trifecta down in Charlotte. Live from New York. It's not Saturday night. It's Friday night. Seton Hall and Marquette going to go live at the Garden tonight. Marquette favored -4, total 142. Last night, Teddy came out to a nice lead in the Garden against St. John's. St. John's closed to within 6 points about 15 minutes ago. And away Marquette went the way they should have, the way you almost thought, because of the previous 3 to 4 games, Teddy, having the lead in the second half, collapsing at the end. They made sure that was not going to take place in a blowout victory over St. John's. Seton Hall 15-6 against the spread on the season. Marquette 18-13 against the spread. Feels good for Marquette, Teddy. Closing a game, blowing a team away, getting your feet back under you as they head to play Seton Hall tonight. Big game in the Garden for the Big East.
It sure is. I mean, when you think about what happened yesterday, I thought this quote really mattered from Marcus Howard. What was the difference tonight? Given my teammates, they really stepped up big in terms of taking control of the game from the early start. Once they were able to do that, it kind of opened things up for me. And of course, Howard, who averaged 25 points a game during the regular season, scored 30 points yesterday. But the key was the contributions from the supporting cast. And that's what Marquette needs. They're going to continue winning games in this tournament and next weekend as well. Now, it's not like we're talking about a Seton Hall team that doesn't have a superstar of their own. Miles Powell went nuts. He scored 29 points in the first half yesterday against Georgetown. Finished the game with 31. But the fact that that was a cruise type of game as opposed to what you were talking about, even though Marquette ended up winning by margin, they got tested a little bit in the second half of that game and had to go on a run in order to extend. It was a little bit easier for Seton Hall. They may be a little bit fresher this evening. Regular season series split between the two teams. Golden Eagles lost on the road by 4, won at home by 9. I got it backwards. You remember that game where they were able to, Seton Hall was able to close out the game on an 18-0 run to beat Marquette just a couple of weeks ago, a game that I'm certain the Golden Eagles will remember.
No, exactly. And that's going to play into it as well. Also in the psyche, Teddy, you get that second half lead. Seton Hall says, we've been there, done that. We can come back on you. Just nice for Marquette to get that win out of their way last night and try to advance. Friday night NBA, Teddy. We can't forget about the NBA because March Madness is going on with the conference tournament action. The big boys in play. Still some good NBA games out there. The Bucks. Are they going to party? Or are they going to play down on South Beach tonight? Bucks and Heat. Bucks favored by 5. Total 219, moneyline split minus 200, plus 170. Bucks 40-26 against the spread in all line games this year. 44-24 against the spread as a favorite. 16-11, Teddy, as a road favorite. But look, you want to take the Heat as a slouch here. Betting your money against them, not too profitable. 35-21 against the number in all games this year. A battle of two teams, Teddy. Very good against the number.
Yeah, and Miami's been especially good catching points, not laying them. Milwaukee's been good literally in every role, and the Bucks in position to start putting their finger on the number 1 seed in the East. They have a 2.5, 3-game lead over the Raptors right now. Sixers and Pacers no longer real contenders to win that 1 seed, and that's something that Milwaukee has put a fair bit of emphasis on. Had a real nice win in New Orleans the other night. A lot of it was offense. They were hitting shots all night long. They scored 45 in the third. Of course, they gave up 41 in the third. And I talked a little bit about Miami's defense earlier in the show. A defense that just held the Pistons to 8 points in the third quarter. They went on a 21-0 run in that third quarter, which is their longest run in any game this season. I like the way Miami's playing defense right now. I really do. And we saw the Bucks blow out the Heat. They just killed them when these two teams met in January, 124-86. But the one previous meeting in Miami, Bucks defense, or the Heat defense was spot on. They really shut down Milwaukee from getting in the paint. 43 3-point attempts for Milwaukee in that ballgame. They made only 9, and they lost at Miami by 7 in a game that stayed way under the total. No surprise here. If tonight's game 2 ends up being a defensive struggle, all this sharp money coming in on the under, I wouldn't fade it for this matchup.